Alright, hello everyone, how's it going today? Today I'm going to be doing a very simple shader nodes tutorial, which I think you guys will enjoy. So sit back, relax, and let's get started on this one. So we're going to start off extremely simple. I found out the power of a node called, well, Mix RGB, but set to color dodge. Now those of you who do 2D art are probably a bit surprised that I just figured out this node's power, but I just did. So I'm going to start out with just the texture coordinate. I'm going to get a gradient from the center using a length node. Simple as that. And then I'm going to use a color ramp, flip it around just like that. Then I'm going to set this to like a purple, kind of dark color. But here's where the magic happens. We put it inside a color dodge node, set it to 1. Then we're going to get, let's make, a ring, like with that one. So what I'm going to do is just set this to complete white. Let's make a shape, a ring-like shape. So let's do that, set that to down. Then let's make this part completely white so that it has a bright center. Now, if we put that into there, we should see, boom, all of a sudden we have a very convincing looking, like lens flare kind of effect. We can manipulate this however we want. I think I want the middle to be a little bit darker. Just like that, I think. Maybe this could be a little bit darker. Either way, I think that looks fairly good. Now, what if we want a kind of, I don't know, like a horizontal gradient? So for that, I'm just going to use a separate XYZ node. Plug that in right there. Take a look at that. I'm going to absolute it. There we go. Just so that we have that happening. Then another color ramp. Just so that it's like that. Then I'm going to copy the color dodge node. Plug that into there. Let's take a look at the output. Now plug that in and we should see, boom, a very nice kind of, radial gradients. Let's set that to ease. I think that looks fairly good. Pretty alright. Almost like a kind of a black hole style of effect. Yeah, there we go. That's more like a black hole. But yeah. Color dodge. I should have known this way before now, but hey. Late's better than never, or better late than never, yeah. That's the phrase. So there's that. So let's keep iterating on this effect, making it, better than before. So I'm going to go and make, let's see, how about some, like, rays shooting out from the center? That should be fairly easy. I'll use a gradient node, a gradient texture, just like that. I'll set it to radial. There we go, so that we have that. Let's have a noise texture plug into that. Just so that we can have all of that. That seems very good. Let me put these parts into frames. Just so that we can keep track of what's going where. Each of these we can see as different layers, and then we combine them using color dodge. So I'll use that, plug that into out there. Let's use a color ramp so that we can define where this is going to be. The range, shall we say. Let's hook that up into there if I can. There we go. Let me make this side a bit bigger. There we go. That's a bit more room to breathe. So let's isolate this to be a bit more... I think like that's fairly good. I may have to edit it just to see what's going on. Let's plug that into there and we should see that looks fairly good, but it seems to be a little bit too strong. Let's do that. Maybe add in more noise. Yep, that looks like lens flares to me. So yeah, and we could just customize that to whatever just feels right. Yeah, that seems pretty good. I think I want to do the same, but with, more spherical gradients from the center. So let's go and do that. Let's plug that into there. And let's go and copy this, but instead let's use the length again. There we are, plug that into there. Then move that up into there, there we are. So now that's looking a bit like a flashlight, or like a car headlight in a way. Just a light with almost like a Fresnel lens on it. we could set this to whatever we want. So there we go, there's that. And we could change the color. I may do this, you know, in post. You know, after the original thing is set. But yeah, there we go. Doesn't that look good? Oh, this could be like a radar disc. Kind of. Yeah, that looks amazing right there. We could turn up the contrast to make it even more, but that seems to be a little too much. Actually, no, I kind of like the high contrast look. Yeah, that seems pretty good. So instead of those radial gradients, what we just have... Let's see. Ah, that seems to be, you know, just a little bit too much there. So I could make this kind of like a radar disc, just going around. Doesn't look bad. I would just need to make it loop, which I could do, but maybe we're getting a little bit off track. But let's, you know, let's just see. Let's use a fraction so that when I add it, it does loop. Here we go. Yeah, it kind of looks like that. So basically, whatever kind of shape you have, you could, you know, add in a layer, because these are all isolated layers. Here's layer 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if we look at the layers as they add up, base layer, color dodge 1, color dodge 2, color dodge 3, and color dodge 4. I think this one is a bit much. So let's, there we are. Yeah, that's looking nice. I need to find a way to customize this a bit more. Let's add in another texture. This will start to get a little bit heavy, but hey, we're adding in lots of very interesting layers. So let's switch this out for a Voronoi. There we go, set that to 2D. And let's plug that in, see what happens. So we're getting quite a few layers here, but they're pretty understandable, so I'll kind of let it slide. Ooh, that's looking intriguing. Very interesting. It almost looks like this is a floor with lots of lights on it. I like it. Yeah, but there we go. Bright, nice flashing lights. Well, not flashing lights, but, you know. We could add in, you know... Ooh, that's an interesting look. Not quite what I want, but interesting. Again, very interesting, but not quite what I'm looking for. Set that to 1. Very cool. So all kinds of shapes. Let's try a magic texture. Let's plug that in. Take a look at the output. Again, interesting. Not quite what I'm going for, though. So yeah, what else could we try here? Let's try all the other kinds of Voronois. Ooh, interesting. I like that one. Kind of a city block style of effect. Ooh, wait a second. Oh, here we have just plain old stars. Well, that's an easy way to make like a nighttime full of stars. And I think I can make them variable sizes by adding the noise to it. Yep, that works. So now you could get stars like that. Ooh, that's very nice. I could change the exponent to change their shape. I like the way it is right now. So yeah, I think the one that I don't like is that. Oh, no, I like it without that. Even though, what if I just, you know, change the style up a bit? I don't think it's worth having another noise texture in the mix. So let's just make it so that it's 4 layers deep. And by the way, you can do this in any most art programs. Most of them have an option to color dodge different layers into one, which is how I found out about this technique. There we go. Oh, it looks so good, and it's so cheap. Those of you who have been on my live streams for a while know that I tried making a fancy light fall-off equation to do essentially this, but it was way more annoying to do. But now with this, it's absolutely no headache. You just have your individual layers, and then you just stack them up. And the thing that controls all of this is the main one right here. Because this, if there's nothing there, then nothing happens. Like I could... There we go. That's looking very cool. Maybe a bit more red. Ooh, I like that. Every kind of cool poster you've ever seen. Kind of 80s or something like that. Ooh, and then it switches to white. I kind of like that. Alright, what else? Another thing that you can do that I noticed with my testing, if we use a separate color, set this to hue, saturation, and value. If we separate the saturation, you can get something like this, which looks cool, but if you invert it, that means you can get kind of the base. Hue, saturation, and value, yeah. If I lower this, maybe I'm getting the wrong one. I think I did it just a little bit wrong. No, that looks to be correct. Except the dark values are not as dark as they should be. I'll have to figure that out. Is that from the surroundings? No, it's not. Because this should be pure white, and then when you invert it, it should be pure black. Huh. A little odd, but I won't complain too much. Well, besides that, let's get back to working on this. So you can animate this same as any other type of procedural effect, just like with that one. You play it, and then it has, you know, a very nice animation right there. I do wonder how I should organize the nodes. I think that way's the best. It will make it fairly long, but I think that's excusable. You could see the very clear line of what's going where. But yeah, what other cool things can we do with this? Refraction, no. I'm looking for different textures. Brick textures, I don't think they'll look too great. Musgrave, Noise, Voronoi. Yeah, I think I've done all the ones that would look really good. But maybe I should try different shapes, you know? So let's go and move over this. Where is the plane? There we go. Let's bring this over, press new. Let's go and just delete that and input another texture coordinate. Set this to length. You could use the UV maps for this, but I'm using object just because it's easier to just kind of, you know, zoom out without scaling the UV map. But I would recommend using UV maps if you want to, like, have this as a game effect. Let's see. What was I? There we go. Do you make Blender VFX in cycles sometimes? Very rarely. I usually render out stills in cycles, like still images, because you could get better quality, but not animations, because those just take way too long. Let's set this more of a green. And let's, I want to try some sine waves. Let's try that. Let's, use a separate XYZ, and then put this into sine wave. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so I think I'll do something like this. I'll just add to this with a multiplied sine wave. But we need to multiply this part as well. There we go. That's a sine wave. So let's just collapse that, bring that over to here, just so that it's a little more compact. You know, a little complicated, but, you know, it's alright. So let's use a mix RGB, set this to color dodge. Yeah, again, color dodge. There we go. And I want to put noise in. Yeah, let's use one-dimensional noise textures. So that we have that. That looks kind of cool. Let's plug it into there so that we can customize it. Doesn't look too fancy just yet, because it needs to be set all the way up to the top. Ooh, that looks pretty cool if you ask me. Not quite the glowy stuff that I was looking for, but not bad. Still gives a very interesting hue. But it does look like it's clipping more than just having a cool glowy effect. So what if I just lower this even more? That kind of sets like the base color. There we go. So let's just up that to a good amount. Well, if we set that to ease, that looks a bit better. It's a cool gradient, but not quite the version I'm looking for. So let's try another color ramp, you know, a circular gradient. I want to try hexagons and all that kind of stuff. Let's set that all the way up to 1. Then up, down, up, down. There we go. And let's change that to be, you know, just quite a bit less. Yeah, not quite. But that's why we experiment, to see what works and what does not. Like, what I really like, this is more of what I'm going for, when it kind of crosses over and then you get that double, the additive look. That's what I was meaning to say. So there's that. I guess that could look cool as kind of like a bubble or something. But not what I'm looking for. So let's try adding in, you know, like a hexagon kind of. Use a gradient node. Set it to radial. There we go. Let's segment it by using the multiply and fraction nodes. I'm thinking about turning this effect into a tutorial. It seems very simple and people can get it very quickly. Maybe not the extended cut that you guys are getting. But, you know, something close to these lines. So something like that. That seems cool. But I want to limit it. Actually, I want to see. Let's just plug it in there at first. I'll need a color ramp again. Ooh, but that does look good. I just need to make it stronger. Better. There we go. So like that. I do like that. I could set this to however many ones of these I want. Lens flare. But what if I added this value to the shape of these two? Math. Let's multiply the output here, plug it into there. Ooh, now we could get kind of flower petals, in a way. Well, that's cool. I do like that. So now that we do have that going, what if I just added in, you know, one of these layers? Let's grab this layer, bring it over, and plug it in. I like how modular this is. There we go, nice little stars. Not quite as good as before. I need to just make it fit in. There we go, that's a bit better. Not by much, but a bit. Ooh, that's looking very good. Little aftershock, just like that. There we go. Nice little flower petal. I could make this rotate around, but I think I may be getting, you know, just a little off track. It's becoming just a little bit more complicated than I would like. Adding to it is good, but it's, you know, a little bit much at times. If I invert, oh, that's very cool, but, you know, a bit more than I was bargaining for. There we have, like, the little leaf parts. This would look amazing if I actually just, like, semi-modeled it. Oh, wait, but I need to convert this to the UV map. Yeah, that's fine. That won't take long. Input UV map, I just need to move it over a bit. Let's just plug that into there. Delete, delete. So that's why you start out with having the UV map instead of manipulating it later on. So that's good. The mapping is all the same. Let me just move this over and scale it up by 2 so that's centered. There we are. Let's see, and let's bring that down. Then just do a subdivision surface, and then boom, flower petal. Glowy flower petal. But I need to, you know, use the, where is it? You pull over the emission and add shader so that we can have this actually be transparent. Bring that over to here, plug that into there. Then I need to go over to this part over here, set it to alpha blend. That's none, and we should see, there we go. A nice glowing flower. Can you make a snowflake? Kind of. Like, this is almost a snowflake. It's very, very close to that. I think I could if I... Here, let me take out the sparkles. I don't want those at the moment. Like, I'm just imagining, like, a field full of these, which I could do using, you know, geonodes. But let's also multiply this by a length. Here, let's put that in a frame, copy it down. Noise texture, 1 dimension. Plug that into there. So there we have something like that. But what if I plug that into there as well? So there you go, something, it needs to be edited heavily. You could kind of see a snowflake starting to appear there. Let's use a color ramp to affect how powerful it is. There you go. You could see it kind of making a snowflake. Not quite, but kind of. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, looks kind of like a snowflake. I do like that version, though. But that's not quite what I'm looking for in this version, my current vision. And you could just use images if you want a kind of snowflake. It doesn't have to be procedural. Just with me, I'm kind of addicted to procedural materials and such. So whenever there's an opportunity, like, look at that. Look at those sparkles. They look so good. Let's set that to just Euclidean. So that we can just have like some sparkles. Yeah, no, I do like that, but it does look kind of gridified. I'll have to test more with that. Because I don't like how some of the parts just have little white specks out there. But toning it down seems to... Oh yeah, that gets rid of it. That's good enough. Just so that we don't have like little fireflies hanging out there. So I just want to see... what happens if I, instead of color dodge, just color from the inside to the outside differently? Let's see, let's just have the length and plug this into here. So for the base, we're going to switch this out from just blue to maybe more of a reddish hue. Even though you could, well, in this case it's green, but I'm going to switch it to red. So we have that, that, so it's that, then that, then that, then the output. So not that one. We need to switch this to hue, saturation, and value. Which is an... Oh! I like the kick that has. Switch that around. And there we are. Not bad. Not bad at all. Now we just need tons of these flying around in space. Would have something cool. Now this part, the color is not needed anymore. This is just a base gradient. You color it, then you color dodge, color dodge, color dodge, then do that. But I think it needs like one more color dodge. It needs a little extra flair to it. And that's what it looks like as pretty much just a circle. Not great. I like the flower more. But that also looks pretty good. What if I were to power beforehand? What would happen in that scenario? Ah, we get a very round flower or a very sharp flower. Interesting. Not what I'm going for, but interesting nonetheless. Alright, so I'm going to, just use a little bit of geometry nodes to scatter a ton of these around. So points, random value for that. Let's take a look at the output. Set those up, make them, a little more sparse in space. Then instance on points, that into there, and random rotation. Do that, randomize the seed, and randomize the scale. There we are. Let's take a look. Looks pretty good. I do feel like, we need to bump up the bloom a bit. Yeah, it's alright, but I think it's... I don't know. Just take out the color change and just leave it as 1. Let's bring that down a bit as well. Ooh, I like that. I like that quite a bit. It doesn't look that good zoomed out, but zoomed in, it's like, whoa, that's the prettiest flower I've ever seen in my life. Color dodge. I can make these like fly around a bit. Let's change the, oh, there's 7 petals. So I can make these like 1 petal all the way to infinity petals, but I think let's change that back to 6. What if I made these petals twirl a little bit? So I could do that by using a vector rotate. Oh. There we are, set this to the z-axis. I could do some other math, but this is the easiest. Plug that into there. Let's get the length. There we are. Multiply it and plug that into the angle. So now we have some like vortexes in a way. So let's I think 2 looks pretty good. 2. Ooh, yeah, if I made these actually rotate. Wait, actually, I can do that. So if it's like that, that's like, oh, okay. But then when we do that, we get that really cool spiral galaxy look. I think 3 looks better than 2. Yeah, there we go. So let's go into Geometry Node Editor and have these physically rotate. So let's use rotate Euler, rotation local, plug that into there. Hashtag frame divided by 24. Let's see how that looks. A little slow, so let's set that to like 12. Let's up the frame rate to make it a smoother experience. There we go. Let's set that to 2. Oh, wow. Well, that's interesting, wouldn't you say? I like the sparkles there. They're a little stuck to the surface, but it's okay. Snowflakes are fractals? In a not all of them. Not all of them, because for it to be fractal, it needs a self-repeating pattern, which snowflakes don't really have. They're radially symmetrical, but I don't think they're fractal. Yeah, that's cool for a kind of, I don't know, spiral galaxy look. Like, look at that. That's really satisfying to look at. Green, blue. Can you randomize the color? Yes, you can. I input the object info, it'll give us a random per object. So if we plug that into there, take a look at there. Ooh. A little bit of a mess, if I'm being honest. So let's just, you know, make a little bit of variation. Ooh, whoa, that is something. Not sure if I like it exactly, but that is surely something. I think I like just the plain blue. That looks good. That looks pretty good. Let's up the amount of blades. Well, that looks worse. Let's lower the rotation a little bit. This just makes it look like a ton of petals are doing little swirls. Too fast, in my opinion. Oh, I do like that, though. It kind of looks like there's almost like a physical trail being left behind. I think I like that better. Green looks like flower petals, so let's try the greens. Kind of like that. I do like that. Yes. Well, do we try other lens flares? Actually, let's geometry node editor. Let's do the same thing. Let's try instancing one of the other lens flares onto this. Ah, I forgot. I did not set up the transparency for this one. Shader emission. Come on. There we go. Emission transparent. Transparent. Yep, there we go. And then we need to use an add shader so that we get the additive nature of it. Alpha blend, and then none. There we go. That is working, but it's a little not as bright as it should be. So a little bit of bloom. That's looking aight, but not great. Yeah. So maybe not all of them work good as particles, just flailing in the wind. But those ones do. It's so calming to look at. So now I want to try, you know, some other things. So now that we have this, I need to separate these frames just to, you know, make it clear what point is doing what. Please show how it looks in cycles, I'm curious. It'll look almost exactly the same minus the bloom. See? So in Eevee, if I turn off the bloom and then switch over to cycles, it's the same. Pretty much exactly this. I think it's almost pixel perfect. The same. But with Eevee, we get the nice bloom. It's kind of like something that ties it all together. So let's use some noise. Let's set it to 1D, and also, you know, let's mix it into the add here. Let's just add, and then color ramp. Let's feed it into there, feed it into there. So let's make this a lot less than before. I should probably randomize this output as well. There we go. That looks like kind of like a leaf. Actually, no, it does not. Not in the slightest. But I do kind of like how it looks. Gives a bit more variation to it all. That just makes it look like wispy little fibers in the wind. Which, you know, isn't quite what I want. That makes it look very sharp. Also not what I want. Yeah, so I'm thinking just, you know, just what we had before. I do think maybe the sparkles should be reintroduced, but maybe not quite as potent as before. Like, I do like them, but they're just too strong. Too small, is it? Like, they look too stuck to the surface, and I think that's because the shape. So if I just do that. Just regular distance. Let's see how... Oh, okay. Little much. So maybe if I randomized it, it would look good. I'm not entirely sure. And then if I had the camera, and I just alpha blended the... Well, not alpha blend. Oh, this is an orthographic camera. You know what? I'm going to leave that camera right there, you know? I'm going to leave it, just copy it, and have a new camera. New camera that's in perspective mode that I can move around freely. Unfortunately, I cannot do depth of field with this unless I use the jitter camera. Let's turn that on. Switch that to be a ton. Let's use... what is it? Depth of field, where's that? I need jitter camera on, and then overblur to 0. Max size to 0. Yeah, which means I'll take a ton of samples to do correctly. I need to find out where it should be focusing, which looks like it should be there. So let's set this to 0.01. So that we get a super narrow depth of field. I think that's a bit too much. You know, since it doesn't like working with alpha blend, I just won't use alpha blend. Simple as that. Or maybe I'll try alpha hashed. But maybe we'll see. Still loading? Oh, alpha. Yeah, so that's why we use alpha blend, because alpha hashed doesn't like working with the add shader. Well, if we just mix it, but I'll need to... It's hard to make this work with the mix shader, so let's use a separate color. Set this to hue saturation value. Plug in saturation. You could see it kind of works, but it also kind of doesn't. Value. Yeah. Disgusting. Flip it around. Oh, that works. That actually works pretty much perfectly. Okay, so that's how you do it if you want a mix shader. So let me just bring that up just so that I don't forget. So that's how you do it if you want a mix shader. Because you can't just hook it up directly or else things will look... Actually, no, that looks perfectly alright. Okay, scratch that. Scratch what I just said. Alright, let's set this to alpha hashed. How does that look? Not great. Because alpha hashed uses noise for dithering, which means that depth of field will work flawlessly because it physically is kind of there in space. You just need to actually let it cook, let it render. So jitter camera. That does help bring more of these subjects to light, but we just need, you know, a lot more samples for it to show up. which may not be fun. It doesn't look too bad. What sort of vibe are you going for? I don't know. I just know that these kind of almost leaves, which maybe I should increase the petal count. Because 6 is a... 5 is... No, 5 is a petal. It's just a little... I don't know. 3 seems to be the magic. Actually, no, that looks perfect right there. Depth of field is not working in my favor. Let's turn off depth of field. It would look amazing, like especially if I set the blades to be 6 so that we get hexagonal depth of field. But it's just like halfway there. There's a song about that. So let's go, and I want to switch some things up about this. This is currently 25 meters, 21 meters, sorry. Big, I want to make it just 5 meters, and then we just shrink the apparent size of these petals. 0.5 seems about right. There we are, just so that this isn't a gigantic scene. What if I just... Let's flatten it on the y-axis. Maybe, no, let's have it like 1, so that there's some depth, but not much. Let's set this to 0, see where they're facing. Okay, so it's like that. So yeah, let's make these face up, and then just like that, you know? That we have them rotating like that. Let's have a few more rotations. Set that to 1, -1. Let's see, I think that looks pretty good. Can you randomize the leaf count on each instance? I could, but I don't think that would look good. Let's change this back to alpha blend, just so that we get a flawless result instantly. And I think we need to randomize, let's add a bit to the sparkle value, so that's randomized per object. Let's multiply this. Still can't wrap my head around how you're getting those smooth gradients. Ah, well I did that earlier in the stream, but I could do a quick little demonstration or showcase with, let's just pause that right there. Let's take a look over to here. So this looks super complex, right? But this is the entire node tree. Very logically sound when you try working at it. So here's the start gradients. Here is another gradient. Very simple. But then you use this magical node called color dodge. The mix RGB node just set to color dodge. Then that happens. Then we take another pattern, like this line, then we color dodge that on top of that. Boom, you got instant interstellar black holes, instantly. And then you take another gradient, in this case radial noise, which that's the node setup for that. And then you put that as another color dodge layer, or pass. Then boom, you have that. So there we go, this is our setup so far. So just your very low power gradient, color dodge, color dodge, color dodge, and then for the final little thing, a couple sparkles. So that when you view that, boom, looks amazing. So that's how you do it. So base, color dodge, color dodge, color dodge, then color dodge. That's how you get those very crisp looking amazing gradients. Very quickly. Like, I set that up in less than 10 minutes. So here we have... needs work. How's that looking? I think we may need another layer of just sparkles. Because them being attached to the flower, not quite my cup of tea. So let's go and remove it from the entire node tree and add in another geonodes thing. Just with, you know, them just floating around. Though I do kind of want to try. Not with that. I want just the length. Let me plug in that for the color. Then this for like another shade. Yeah, no, I'm not liking it. The simpler, the better. So there we go. So here are all the nodes to make this pattern. And you could use an image texture. You do not need all this fancy vector math. I just know how to do it, and I don't feel like pulling out a painting tool. So this is what I do. So here's the base gradient. You can barely see it. And then here is the gradient, color dodge. Other gradient, just, you know, kind of the side parts. And then I do that again. So that just emphasizes the sides. Send that through the mix shader. It could be an add shader or a mix shader. Along with bumping up the emission to a very high amount. Higher than I would normally be comfortable with. Let's see. So yeah, let's make another gradient. Where are you? Ah, there you are. It's a little confusing. So let's just make this a very simple little gradient. Let's get the UV map. Here, let me recenter the UV map and scale it up again, just like what I did with the rest, so that everything starts from the center. Let's get the vector math length node. That we plug that into here to get a gradient from the center, just as we did before. Color ramp, let's put that there. And I need to get that green texture, plug it into there. Now that's very dark, but I think that's because the emission accounted for that later, but let me just do that for now. And now I could do this one of two ways. I could just have this here and then use the color dodge. Color dodge, let's put that there and that there. Plug that up there. So that we have something like that. Which actually, it's not looking amazing. It's looking okay, but not as good as it should. Maybe, there we go. That's more like it. There's a reason that's so low to begin with. This kind of controls like where it kind of takes off from. So I could add in, you know, like a little bit of, there we go. It looks like like a lensing effect. So that's good. Now, I believe, I'll just copy this shader setup so that if I want to alpha hash it, I can for the depth of field. There we are. And the emission is a little high, but I may be able to adjust that later. So in the geometry node editor, let's add that into here. Copy this, chop that off. See, let me organize this just a little bit. There we go. Now these ones won't rotate. I may want these facing the camera. So that's good. Organization is key with these things to keep you sane. So let me just, you know, pack these up into nice little squares. I'll randomize the seeds for all of these, and then I'll just drag in, it's plane 03. Plane 003. There we go. So if we use a geometry, join geometry. Whoops. Join geometry, plug that into there. Plug this up into there. We should see there are more of these. But it seems like I've neglected to turn on alpha blend. There we are. So there we go. Not liking the secondary ring on that all too much. So we just have a bit of that. Not bad. Geometry node editor. Let's go and shake these up a little more. Let's have more of them. And then just kind of scale it down a bit more. 120. And then maybe those can kind of like float around a little bit. Just maybe. I'll have to think about that. Shader editor. Yeah, no, those are too static at the moment. Looks like galaxies in a way, which would work in several situations, but not the one that I'm currently doing. So for this, I'll just use a vector math, then have a noise texture as the input, but I need to multiply the output. I'm not going to do the subtract 0.5 at the current time, just because. Have this be 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. Have the input be the index of each particle, and let's offset it. So there we go. We have something that, you know, travels along a little bit. Hashtag frame divided by 12. Change the scale down. It's a little much even still. 5. Nope, needs to be more like 30. Let's set that down to like... Well, that makes it just more than I want. I wanted it to be 0.05. There we go, just a little bit of wobble. Just that still feels dynamic and good. But good, wait, I totally forgot. Completely, totally forgot. Let's change this to what I actually wanted it to be, which wasn't circular. I wanted this to be a star. To do that, it's pretty simple. To make a star gradient, you could have an image of this if you don't want to do the vector math, which is perfectly understandable. But you just have an absoluted version of this and that. Absolute just mirrors it kind of. It turns the negative values into positive values. And then we use a, let's say, smooth maximum, I believe. Or is it smooth minimum? That... I think that works. And then I use math node at the end of... No, this needs to be a smooth minimum. Kind of. But it appears that the gradient is just too high for it. So maybe I should use a map range to bring it back to ground level. Map range. There we go. So that I can have this, but the... Whoops. I'm doing this wrong, I believe. Even though that looks kind of alright. Huh. Yeah, I believe I did that kind of wrong. I think I color ramp it beforehand? Let's see, I think this is how you do it. So like that. Let's copy that and that for both of those gradients. Then plug them into the smooth minimum. But now it has to be a smooth maximum. Then we just drag these in until they're good enough. Smooth minimum. Yeah, it seems that I... Sorry, I'm tripping over my words a little bit. I forgot how to do this, how to make an actual star gradient. Why don't I just make these... No. This is the completely wrong way. I could just copy the flower petal. And then I can make it so that these have the whatever shape I want. Yeah, let's do that. Let's set this to radial, or a gradient. Gradient texture. We use a multiply node, and then a fraction node. Multiply fraction, there we go. And we set this to radial, there we go. Let's set this to, say, 5, just like before. So there we have, you know, what could be, you know, the right equation for that. And we set this to ping pong, so that it will go up and, you know, ping pong, as the name kind of, sort of, suggests. Then we just add it into here, but we need to multiply it to what we want beforehand. Hopefully that's not too confusing. I know it can be. Then look into there. So that almost works. That's a little bit disheartening, isn't it? Like, yeah, I'll just kind of half work. We do get, you know, kind of that sparkly look happening. Let's bump it up by a bit. Whoops. Let's bring this over to here. Like there's some sparkles, but it's not the right shape. How did I do that before? Well, I don't know. I was pretty sure I did the right way before, but let's not get too hung up on that. Let's just try to make, you know, if you get lost in the math, that's no good. You want to just try to make something that looks good. Not be like, oh, is this mathematically correct? So there we go. Kind of pointy star things just floating around very happily. There we are. What else? I like this. I'm really liking it right now. It's very, you know, low profile, very, you know, very relaxing. That may be in part to the Animal Crossing music, but, you know, I'd like to think, you know, it's just the way I set this stuff up. Just so laid back. Just makes you want to go to sleep. Pink looks pretty good. I don't think it looks better than green, but, you know, just for experimentation's sake. Yeah, no, green looks better. But the other one's not bad. So there we go. Just petals fluttering in the wind. I could try animating the mesh itself to do that, but let's use a display. No. A displace node right there. Let's set it to clouds. Let's change this from grayscale to color. Turn down the depth. Change this to RGB to XYZ. Just to, you know, add a little bit of distortion. Yeah, that doesn't look great. Yeah, it doesn't look great, but, you know, for a little bit of distortion might not be the worst thing in the world. Just to shake it up a bit. Nah, let's not do that. What about, wave? This will look awful. I mean, it doesn't look great. Where's the speed? Oh, let's slow that down. And they're all in sync, but it doesn't look that way. Yeah, and if we made the height like half as much, or a little bit less. And the width. Narrowness. Huh. I mean, it doesn't look bad, just doesn't look good. A little bit more dynamic it is. Oh, wow, I've been streaming for an hour already. Doesn't feel like that, which I guess is a good thing. I do like, you know, the little bit of dynamics happening. I think a different position setup for the leaves would be good. Alright, geometry nodes. Not for that one. It needs to be this one. Until we get something that fills up the space kind of good. Like the other one, that fills up the space rather well. Maybe I'll just move the camera over. No, I like that. It's just like there's one missing from there. And it seems like no matter how many more I add, It just really doesn't want to be right there. So what if I were to just change the perspective? Or what if... Yeah, change the perspective. Ah, wonderful. Epilepsy. What if I zoomed it in a ton? Does that give more of a calming sensation? I think it does. Like, not by, you know, a ton, but... Oh, come on. You can do it. Now I just feel like I need a word in the middle. Let me just put a text object. Let's put that there, rotate it. And then let's give it a texture. Unfortunately, I can't texture it in the same way. Just like, wow. If I could, I would, which maybe I can. Column. Just like that. Just calm in the background. No, let's make it like kind of hidden so that you could just kind of see it. Make it the same color. It doesn't look good because, you know, it doesn't have the fall off that the other ones have. So maybe I'll add that in, but for now, I'll just leave it be. Maybe some vines in the background. I think that might be a good idea. So let's try that, you know, something different, a little custom setup. So let's bring this over to here. And then I'll just stretch this like that. Then move it to one way, then the other way. Then the other way as well. Throw in a couple subdivisions for good measure. Set that to 3. Let's scale it on. Let's just move this part over so that's thinner. So let's make a new material. Take a look. Shader editor. Let's keep this playing so that we get the good vibes coming in, even still. So let's take a look at the... Oh, I was worried that would crash. But this should be fine. Speaking of crashes, let me save. I have a bad habit of not saving, especially when my computer does little blips sometimes. So let's use a... Let's see. Yeah, let's use a color ramp to do the ping pong. I could use just a ping pong node for that, but I'm just feeling good doing this right now. So let's set up the color again. Whoops. So just like that. So let's set up the color dodge. Let's get the same color from there. Put that over to there. Let's use a mix RGB, set that to color dodge again. Make sure that's set to 1. Let's take a look. That does look good. I need to upgrade it. So I'm thinking a noise texture. Let's set that to 1 dimension of noise. Let's, you know, add in another color dodge. With this one. Plug it in. Let's take a look. How does it look? Ah, we can barely see it. There we go. If we extend it, we can now see the effect. So it's all right. It's not great. As a background element, it might look okay, but it's way too strong. So I think, yeah, maybe just Ooh, no, that looks good. You know, you just kind of move it around a little bit. You know, until you get something that's like something that kind of surrounds it, but not quite. Rotate. I do kind of like that. How you could kind of see something happening. Maybe it's lacking a spiral. Maybe that's what's wrong. So let's just try making something that's kind of a spiral. See if that aids in the I can see something, but no, no. So do I just keep the plane part of it? I think that, yeah, keeping that there, a little bit of asymmetry in the design, I think that's good. But when I try adding it to the other side, it's just like, no, I'm not liking it all too much. Alright, I think this is good. I think I'm happy with this, and I believe I'll call the stream here. Thank you all for watching. This was a very nice and relaxing little project, experimenting with color dodge, and then turning it into whatever this is. But it looks good. I'm very content with the current implementation. Alright, I will see you all next time. Thank you for watching.